Okay, for today, I have something a little bit different for us. As you know, I've graded most of the analysis essays, and I've looked at a lot of your personal narratives. And some of you have a few instances where I've said something like awkward word choice. And this just means that your writing doesn't exactly sound fluent. Maybe there are some grammar issues. Some common grammar issues have to do with prepositions or pronouns or verb tense, those kinds of things. And I think that sometimes it's easier to just look at some examples and see where they could be fixed. So I have two paragraphs from the analysis essays, and these are not meant to like highlight anybody's weaknesses. These are for us to learn from. And honestly, there was really nobody who didn't have any awkward word choice. So this is a completely natural and normal thing to have some errors in there. And I think that we can use these to learn a lot. So I don't want you to feel embarrassed if your paragraphs are up here or nervous. Nobody knows that they're your paragraphs, and I think they're really going to help the class. So hopefully you feel okay about this. What I'm going to ask you to do is read the paragraphs. I've got two paragraphs here. Read the paragraphs and review them for grammar and style. And as I said, grammar could be anything from prepositions, pronouns, verb tense, anything like that. Anything that has to do with the right word choice for a particular area. And then style is any of the other things that we've talked about. It just doesn't sound right, or maybe they've got some formatting issues. So look for anything that you think needs correction. And if you see something that needs correction, I would like for you to highlight it. So like, for example, I'm at paragraph 1, and the title or the first line is not indented. So I'm going to just click on it, and I'm going to pick this color because it's my favorite color. You guys can highlight with whatever color you want, but I would like for you to highlight it and then make the appropriate correction. So now I'm going to indent it. So the issue here was that it was not indented. I highlighted it, then I made the correction. Once you finish the whole paragraph, then you're going to submit it on Blackboard, and this will take the place this will take the place of our quizzes. So let's do one together just to show you kind of what I'm looking for. This paragraph says, the title of the video is Steve Jobs' commencement speech at Stanford University in 2005. So far, this sentence looks perfect. I've corrected the indent. They used the apostrophe exactly correctly. Wonderful. And I don't see any other issues there. So I'm going to leave the rest of that sentence blank. Throughout his speech, tells several stories of love, loss, death, and adversity to encourage them as they continue in their lives. Okay, so I think we can see an issue here. Throughout his speech tells several stories. I'm going to highlight this because I think there's an error there, and I'm going to add a subject. Throughout his speech is just an extra part of the sentence that is supplementary. The sentence could make sense without that. So usually those extra phrases we separate out with commas. So throughout his speech, comma, because that shows that throughout his speech could come or go. It could be there or it could not be there. I think that it works really well here, but because it's not part of the core sentence, I can separate it out with a comma. And then I can start to see what the real problem is. What if I covered this part up? What if this was gone and I just had this sentence? Tell several life stories of love, loss, and death. We can tell that a subject is missing. We need the word he tells several life stories of love, loss, and death. We're missing a subject there. We only had the verb, not who was doing the verb. So I'm going to highlight that and show how I fixed it. Now I think it makes a lot more sense. Throughout his speech, he tells several life stories of love, loss, death, and adversity to encourage them as they continue in their lives. I think we can see that there is an issue right here. Love, loss, death, and adversity, all of them are lowercase, not capitalized, except for this one. So I'm going to uncapitalize that one. to encourage them as they continue in their lives. Now, there is a style issue here because we've got a pronoun, but we don't know who the pronoun is directed towards. So throughout his speech, he tells several life stories of love, loss, death, and adversity to encourage them as they continue in their lives. What could I put instead of them? Them is not very descriptive. I could put the new graduates. I could put the Stanford alumni. I could put any kind of words that I wanted there, but them is not very descriptive. So this one is a style one. This one is one that could be considered a mistake or could not be considered a mistake, depending on your point of view. Think about it like when you get dressed in the morning. Sometimes you put together outfits that really work, and sometimes you put together outfits that are a little bit crazy. Style is very personal, and it just depends on where you're coming from. But I think that the more descriptive you are, the better. And this was not a lot more words. I could have even just said the graduates. It's really only 1 or 2 extra words, but it's much more specific. And we're definitely trying to get concrete nouns in here. Them is not a concrete noun. I can't picture that. But the new graduates, I can picture them in their robes and their caps. Okay. The goal of his speech was to motivate graduate students by sharing experiences and giving useful advice. I think that sentence is perfect. That makes total sense. He also talks about his life, when he dropped out of college, when Jobs created Apple, and eventually he was fired from his own company. Now, these sections need to, this is a list, right? All of these things are a list of his life experience. So he talks about his life. If I wanted to, this is a style thing, I could begin a list with a colon, and this is a colon. He also talks about his life, colon, when he dropped out of college, when Jobs created Apple. Look at these two, when he dropped out of college, when Jobs created Apple. I think it's pretty clear that when he dropped out of college and when Jobs created Apple is not necessarily, they're not matching up, they're not parallel. So when he created Apple, let's say. And now they seem to follow the same pattern. When he dropped out of college, when he created Apple, and eventually he was fired from his own company. We've got a pattern going here. When he, and then just he. So we can start to see that there's a style issue here. And maybe this might be better if we said when he was fired from his own company. And that way we have a pattern that the reader is comfortable following. When he dropped out of college, when he created Apple, and eventually when he was fired from his own company. That sounds much more smooth. It sounds like all of those 3 things go together and they're meant to be there. Later was rehired because of the success of his other 2 companies he started. Okay, this is the same issue that we saw up here, right? We had a verb and we were missing a subject. Later was rehired. Well, who was rehired? We're missing a subject. So we need to say he was, oh, I put it in the wrong spot. Later, he was rehired because of the success of his other 2 companies he started. Next and Pixar. Okay, so now I think this sentence is perfect. If I wanted to take out he started, I totally could. It's not necessary. I think the sentence makes sense without it. So if we were trying to avoid wordiness, that might be a thing that we could do. But again, it's just a style issue. It's not a strict grammar issue. This one, indenting, is a strict grammar issue. This one, without a subject, that's a grammar issue. There's no debate about that one. He was rehired. This one is a grammar issue. There's no debate about that one. But wordiness or parallel style, they call this parallel when every single phrase is starting the same way. Those are more style issues, just to make it sound a little more polished and a little bit more formal. Okay, the next sentence says, the video was persuasive because he achieves the main goals of the speech by focusing on the ethos, logos, and pathos, by telling his experience, various personal experiences, and reflections on life. Okay, this is great. The only issue that I see is that typically we don't say the ethos, logos, and pathos. We just call them ethos, logos, and pathos. There's no need for an article here. And these are brand new words for you. You probably haven't used ethos, logos, and pathos very much. So this is totally to be expected. One style thing is that we've got ethos, logos, and pathos, and then we've got an explanation of ethos, logos, and pathos. And I would maybe take one of these out because we're repeating the same thing. Telling his personal experience is probably the ethos. Various personal experiences is logos, and reflections on life might be pathos. I would take one of these out. So just to keep it simple, maybe I would remove these and just end the sentence right here. I think that this is a decent thesis. They've got it right at the end of their introduction, so it looks perfect. If you leave this in, it is definitely not wrong. It's just a style issue, but it makes the writing a little bit faster, and it makes it move with a little bit better tempo. Okay, so you can watch this again if you need to. I know that I went through a lot of really random things really quickly, but I think that all of these are things that are important. There were not a lot of issues in here, but I think the changes that we made definitely improved the flow and definitely improved the comprehension. Because when we don't have those subjects, or when we have like non-specific pronouns, it's harder to understand what the author's trying to say. So take a look at this, and then I'm going to give you some time because I've got another paragraph here, paragraph 2, and I would like for you to make the corrections on paragraph 2, okay? I'll do a quick video at the end showing you what corrections I made, but I would like for you to stop and try this on your own first, okay? So let's stop the video. You can look at paragraph 2 and see if there's any grammar or style issues that you would correct, okay? And then we'll see if we came up with the same things. I think this will be fun. All right, I'll see you guys in a few minutes.